Hey guys, Rich Lopez with the Drop Time Traditions podcast. I don't know what episode this is. I'm approaching 180 now. So this is good. A good thing. My guest tonight is Mr. Todd Brickel of Colorado, is it? Todd?
Colorado Springs, yes.
All right, excellent. Um, and before we get into it, I want to acknowledge the show supporters. Stickbow Country Arrows, Traps Feather Rests, Traditional Bowhunter Magazine, supported me since day one. Sauk Trail Archery, stickbowsupplies.com, Whiskey City Trad Gear, wctrad.com, Jessie Savage Blacksmith.com, traditionaljunk.com. If you're looking for an old collectible bow, even a bighorn, reach out to Kevin over there, Kevin Bishop. Site Joe River Bow Company, theethicalpredator.com, and lastly, stickbowhuntsmx.com, my favorite place to hunt in Mexico. Todd, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the invite, Rich.
Yeah, now you and I met basically on social media. That's how that came to fruition. And that's actually how I've met a lot of people in my world now. I mean, it's amazing how many people I've had on the podcast that I've met just through social media.
It really, that's one of the great things about social media. There's times I think I should just disconnect from it completely.
Right.
Because there's so much trash out there. But, the friendships and the connections you meet from all across the country, that's the one thing that keeps me engaged on it.
Same here. I mean, when I started on social media, it was really just to monitor what my kids were up to.
Right.
Like basically I was stalking them just to see what they're doing behind my back. And,
right.
Then now I find out that they stalk me. I'm their father, So, hey, Todd, if you can give us a brief background, where were you born and raised?
Oh yeah, Rich. So I was born and raised in a small town in northeast Nebraska, Albion, Nebraska.
Okay.
A little 2,000 population farming community. It was a great upbringing. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back now with all the years of experience, it was a great place to grow up. I little town. I ran the paper out. Dad was the mailman, and we won't go into it. But the stories, I feel sad for kids today because the upbringing I had in a small town was fantastic, and the things that I was able to do and didn't think twice about. Boy, if kids did some of those things today, they would be probably put in jail and think they're crazy, which is not the case at all. But so yeah, it was a great experience.
That's great. That's great. What I see a lot in today's generation is a lack of imagination, creativity, because they're tethered to electronics and tethered to games and stuff like that. Get out there, throw dirt bombs, stuff like that, pretend, make a fort, But here in Florida, you don't want to make a fort because in these woods here lurks a lot of danger in the form of copperheads, rattlesnakes, coral snakes, and So we talked briefly early before we started the recording. You're in the insurance world as a profession?
Yeah. It's an interesting story. No one ever really goes into insurance. You don't plan on it. I didn't plan on it.
Either did I.
My introduction was so simple. I was going to business school. I was working for an office supply store after school during business school. And one afternoon, my boss said, "Hey, we need to go out to this business to set up the old steel case desk, the cubes, right, that go in most business places." And I remember going out there, and I was pursuing a degree in accounting, and it was Principal Financial Group, and it had financial in the name. I had no idea what they did, but it met my criteria for a 19-year-old. It was air conditioned. It had financial in the name, and there were a lot of pretty girls working there.
Right.
And so that's where I applied when I got out of school, and that's how I got in the insurance industry 38 years ago.
I got into the insurance industry by accident. I was a graphic imaging engineer for National Geographic. And we did everything back in the day was with film, exposures, chemicals.
Yeah.
And then I was replaced by a Macintosh.
Oh, sure. Right.
So I had to reinvent myself. And luckily I built race cars and hot rods and all that as a hobby. My wife was working for the company at the time, the insurance company. And she goes, "Hey, we're looking for estimators, people that understand damage and body work."
Yeah.
So I was playing softball, and we wound up playing the insurance company team. And so after the game, everybody's sitting around the field having beers, and I sat down next to her boss. And he looked at me, he says, "Lissa told me that you're interested in potentially changing careers." I'm like, "I'm very interested in changing careers. I'm getting laid off every 3 months." and
Right.
having to look for a new job. And he goes, "Well, see me on Monday. Here's the address. Fill out an application, and then bring the application with you." And then that day, I was hired.
There you go.
That
That's
was
fantastic.
26 years ago. Yep.
Wow. That's great.
I
That's
love what I
great.
do. I just absolutely love what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting industry. Again, it's not sexy on the outside, but
Mhm.
it's provided a great life for me and my family. And I enjoy the work I do every day. So, that's a place.
Being my last name's Lopez, I'm bilingual, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So being here in Florida, nobody speaks English. So I speak Spanish all day long, every
Oh,
day.
sure.
Sometimes I speak Spanish to my wife, and she looks at me. She goes, "You're off work, remember?" Oh yeah, you know.
That's
But
fantastic skill to have.
so how did you get into archery?
I was really lucky, Rich. So many people have stories of an uncle or a neighbor or something like that. It was my dad. My dad and my uncle Bob got into archery, you know, 15 years before I was born,
Hmm.
as young men. And it happened. It's an interesting story. So it was my dad, my uncle Bob, and their friend Ronald J.D. And Ronald's dad owned the local hardware store in Albion, little town. And Dick Mock, who most of
Yeah.
your listeners will know, lived up in Bassett, Nebraska, and he was the bear archery sales rep for that area. And he came down and convinced Mr. JD to start stocking archery equipment in the hardware store. And so
Okay.
that's how my dad and Uncle Bob got involved in archery. So I've been fortunate. I've had a bow in my hand since I was probably 3 years old
Okay.
and was able to, really live a lifestyle of archery. So I've been really blessed from that standpoint.
I've sent a few messages to Miss Carol Mock,
Yeah. Yeah.
and invited her onto the podcast, and she's a little shy. So,
Okay.
yeah, so we'll leave it at that. And also, another one I reached out to, remember the name Midge Dandridge?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, reached out to her. We talked quite a bit, but again, a shy young lady.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, one of these days I'll get you. But
Yeah.
it's my sales pitch. I got to improve on that. That's what it is. But so I would imagine Dick was an archery hero of yours.
Yeah. It was interesting. I didn't meet Dick until probably as a teenager when the
Mhm.
Nebraska Bowhunters Association kicked off. They kicked off when I was in high school. So I was my dad and I were, you know, new members, right, when the organization kicked off and went to their banquets and that. And of course, Dick was there. And so
Okay.
that's when I first met Dick. And so, I was able to, those bow hunter associations, if members are not, if you're not a member of your local state association, become a member. They're
Yeah.
great opportunities to rub elbows with,
Yeah.
people of like minds. And, I've been blessed to meet a lot of legends in archery over the last,
Yeah.
40 years or so because of that.
Yeah. Likewise. I mean, I'm huge involved with Maryland, their
Mhm.
traditional bow hunters, and the Maryland Bow Hunter Society. I'm not involved with Florida's Bow Hunter Society. It's kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not very active group.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. But I encourage the same as well. And I also encourage people, if you're not a member or know anything about the Professional Bowhunter Society or Compton's Traditional Bowhunter Society or Traditional Bowhunters, please check them out. Excellent group. I support them both 110%.
Yeah, I agree.
They're good for the sport. Um, so, what other archery heroes?
Oh, growing up, of course, it was reading Fred Bearsfield notes, right?
Mhm.
So that was really important to me. And I don't know if it's so much heroes, but later in life, I moved here to Colorado when I was 25, and
What, last year?
yeah, unfortunately, a long time ago, and that opened a door to meet, truly some of the greatest bow hunters in this country.
Yep.
Some that your listeners will know the names. Others that your listeners probably have never heard of, but truly are phenomenal bow hunters. And to meet some of those people was really important. And I suppose those that ended up having an influence on how I think about it, how I've lived my life, how I've been involved in different organizations, really comes down to Fred Asbell for sure.
Yep.
We'll talk about Bighorn bows and that, which I wasn't aware of Fred and his stature when I got into Bighorn bows. It
Okay.
came later. But the other one your listeners will know is Marv Klinke here in
Yeah.
Colorado. Marv has done so much for bow hunting, been so involved for so many years. And, I consider Marv a good friend. I've spent time with Marv and Judy. I've spent time at their cabin. We've scouted together. We spent a lot of time at, banquets and that together. And he's a good person. So I would say icons, I don't know about heroes, but icons, people I've definitely looked up to and have formed my own philosophy and how I've been engaged. Those two gentlemen, for sure, were big influences.
Yeah, I'm a big Marv nut. I'm looking at his Son of the Longbow book right now,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I have his TJ Comrades gave me Marv's phone number, so I'm going to be calling Marv
Oh, good.
and get him on. I don't know how his technology. I don't know if he's technologically savvy because Zoom meetings are a little out there for a lot of the guys over 75.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes.
I think I might be able to pull it off for you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Do you know? Well, let's talk Colorado because I've been to Colorado. I hunted with Judd Cooney.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's still around. How about Jake Powell?
Oh, Jake Powell. That's one of the names I didn't think most people had heard of. Jake Powell. I've known Jake now for 30 years, and again, one of those low-key individuals who has
a ton of record animals in the record books.
Has done it all. He is. In Colorado, we have in the Colorado Bowhunter Association, we've had the Big Eight, with how we reference it, which was the original 8 big game species. It's now the Big 9 and Big 10 with the introduction of Shiras moose and desert sheep years ago. But the original Big 8 species, it's really something to accomplish that. And, it really speaks to diversification in your hunting methods. It's not just another species, right? You approach it differently. And, Jake is a man who, he didn't even realize it. We recognized him last year at the CBA banquet. He has done the Big 8 in Colorado 4 times.
Yeah.
That's 4 bighorn sheep, 4 mountain goats, right? Black bears, elk, mule deer, whitetails, mountain lions. It's an incredible antelope. It's incredible that he's been able to do that over the decades. And of course, it's a mark that will never be met. That in today's day and age, the demand on tags,
I was going to ask you that about the tag system now. It's almost impossible.
Very different, and making changes, probably for the right reasons, so now Colorado's gone to it that, going forward. So it grandfathers in individuals who have maybe been successful in the past, but if you take a mountain goat, it's now once in a lifetime. If you take a bighorn sheep, it's once in a lifetime. If you take a moose, it's once in a lifetime, so no one's going to ever match what Jake's done with a bow.
Right.
And it's not just here in Colorado. Your readers may know, or listeners may know, that it wasn't that many years ago. It's time goes fast, but he hunts exclusively with self bows now. And he took a brown bear in Alaska with a self bow.
Wow.
Which is, and that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it is. That's pucker factor in my world, as they call that. He's a man's man. I met him at the PBS banquet 1988 in Grand Junction.
Okay. Yeah.
Colorado. Yeah, that's when I had, flowing hair like Ted Nugent and was svelte and young and ambitious and whatnot. And he was a very nice man. Very nice man. That's my only time I ever met him or talked to him.
Yeah.
That's another guy I would love to get on the podcast. Just talk about his hunts and stuff.
Yeah. He would be great to listen to. He's got great stories.
I think King is supposed to help me set that up.
Okay.
King Cavalier. Good. I got to reach out to King anyway. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of weeks, but we met on social media, like I mentioned earlier. I believe you created a Bighorn bow hunting company fans and collectors page on Facebook. Am I correct?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I think I bought a t-shirt from you.
You did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Which doesn't fit anymore because I've gained 20 pounds. So you got any left in that double X?
I don't. I never meant to go in the merchandise business. And I didn't. I mean, I did all those at cost for the members. It was really just King. I got to give King a lot of credit because, he still owns the logos and the right.
Wow, that's awesome.
Bighorn Bow Hunting Company. And, so when it's like, oh, I'd really like to make a t-shirt, with the original Bighorn logo for the members of the group. And of course, King's a member of the group. And I was trying to convince him to do it because he's in the clothing business, and he's like,
Right.
"Are you kidding me? I'm not doing that." uh, he said anyone can do it, so he gave me permission to use the Bighorn logo and make
Yeah.
that up. And so we've done T-shirts for the guys that are part of the group. We've done a few sweatshirts and some hats and things like that, but all
That
just
that
all just for cost, just enough to keep promoting it.
that's cool. That's cool. Um, now that page is done well because I still collect bighorn bows. Have now I've been posting a few on. I don't know if you've seen my posts. Every day I post 3 reels, and it's bows I've collected, bows I've repaired and refinished, whatever, anything, because I've collected for 50 plus years. So I've taken. I'm a photographer. I'm like a Japanese person with a camera. I'm constantly photographing every day, all day long,
Wow.
visual
Okay.
content. It's just a habit of mine. And because I'm a visual guy and I was a graphic artist for all those
Right.
years. So it's
Right. Right.
kind of natural for me to do this. So every bow I've collected, every bow I've ever worked on, 50 plus years, I've photographed in one form or another. Before it was digital, it was film, but then I digitized them. And now, as photography become digitally speaking, it's amazing the high level of stuff you can get. And I've been posting these reels every day for the last 6 weeks, and it's gone nuts. 1,000 views every reel,
That's
stuff like.
awesome.
But there's always I put a little history with it, so there are younger collectors out there that are really kind of lost, and they don't know what they're looking at or what they're looking for. Everybody, of course, starts with bear archery because
Right.
that's the most abundant, bow that's out there.
Yeah.
There's rarities. There's a few scarce ones, but they're abundant because
Yeah.
Fred
Yeah.
made thousands of bows every year.
Yeah.
So that's what I
You
started with.
have a lot of bare bows. Looks like in your background there, I can see some.
Yeah, Todd, that's just how's a word I can describe it? That is just a splinter's worth.
The total.
I have two other bedrooms behind that door that have more bows as well. But at one time I had over I would say 2,000 bows.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And now I'm down to maybe 100.
Some people might have called that a problem.
That was a problem. It cost me my first marriage, actually.
Right.
Part of
Right.
my first, it was part of the problem. But yeah, and when we lived, my second wife Lissa and I lived in Maryland. My entire basement was 30 by 40, just the man cave part, not to
Right.
mention the workshop attached to it. And every square inch there was a bow hanging vertically,
Wow.
doubles and triples, as far as you could see. And people would just come to the house to see stuff.
Sure.
Just like Gene Hopkins. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
an amazing collection. That's on my bucket list to go to Indiana. I think I might do the trip next year
There you
when the
go.
PBS banquet's in Springfield, Missouri. I may take a road trip to Gene's house and see his stuff.
Yeah, that'd
Uh,
be fantastic.
yeah, but yeah, it was crazy. It was an illness for sure. Cost a lot of money. I made a lot of money because I
Yeah.
would flip stuff. Anytime I needed work done on the house, like I needed a roof for my old house, I sold a couple of bows, paid for the roof. I
Yeah.
needed a garage door, sold a couple of bows, paid for that. I needed to
Right.
paint the exterior of the house, sold a couple of bows. You know what I'm saying? It's an
Right.
investment.
Right. Yeah.
However, no longer are certain bows investments because if you look at prices on eBay, look at prices, they're just astronomical prices, and the bows are not even worth that.
Right.
As a
Right.
collector, I know this. As the person selling it, they're not collectors. They're just looking at numbers. And I'm here and I expose that myth all day long. There are bows here in the collection behind me that are still holding value.
Mhm.
Um, Bighorns hold value because of Fred's legacy.
They do.
Uh,
Yeah.
my very first bighorn bow I bought, I was working for Butts and Bows Archery in New York and New Jersey for Len Cardinal,
Oh,
who famous bow hunter.
yeah.
Um, and I was working. I said, Len, I want to get a bighorn bow. And he goes, well, you work for me. How about you work it off? We'll take a little bit out of your check every week. I'm like, cool. So my very first bow was a 60-inch takedown, 63 pounds at 29 inches.
Yeah.
Fred made it, signed by Fred.
Yeah.
And I think I killed my second deer with that bow. And it
That's
was way overbowed. It was, I was shooting a 63-pound compound. I
right.
really
Yeah.
should have gotten a 45-pound
Yeah.
recurve.
Yeah.
And no, that was the beginning of the end of a giant problem with target panic and short drawing and
Oh
and snap shooting. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's
live through all of
50
it.
years ago. Yeah. So, but it
Yeah.
was great. And then since then, I've come across. I'm a lefty now. I developed shoulder problems, so I switched to lefty about 20 years ago. In those 20 years, I have found two, not one, but two left-handed one-piece bighorn recurves
Oh yeah.
in 45 and 49 pounds.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
and I found them at Etar,
That's rare.
and Fred was there with Teresa doing the wool thing. And I walked up to him and said, Fred, here you go. Look at this. And he looked at it and he goes, wow, I don't even remember making that. I said, that's your handwriting, right? He goes, yeah, that's my handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, yeah, I've rarely ever made anything under 50 pounds or under 55 for that matter.
I can only imagine. Yeah. When I got into bighorn bows, but again, I grew up with a bow in my hand, so I started with recurves and that. And then
Mm-hmm.
in the early years, I shot, bear combats, without a sight, but just, the old Alaskans, the
Chuck
brown bears,
Adams.
like
Yep.
that. Yep. And it was, I don't know, I think I was 18 at the time. I'd gone away to business school and came home for the weekend. My brother Scott and I were out shooting in the yard. And I don't know what caused me to do it. I went inside. I just wasn't enjoying it as much as I should have. I went inside. I said, hey, Dad, can I string up one of your recurves? I hadn't touched one of Dad's recurves in a long time. And picked up a 1960 Bear Kodiak, 55
Oh,
pounds, out in the yard and shot it. And it was, with my long arms, it stacked pretty well, and it was tough, but I enjoyed it. I'm like, I got done and I'm like, I got to get myself a recurve. I'm done. I mean, that's what did it for me. And of course, then
you were having fun.
I was having fun. And of course, Bear bows was everything. As a kid, I grew up with the Bear catalog every year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was like the Christmas catalog when it came out. And, in that time, so this is like the late 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Bear at that time, they'd gone through their heyday of recurves and they were in a lull at that point. Late 80s was not a good time to buy a Bear recurve. And, I really wanted to take down and it just wasn't there. And of course, Dad always had Bow and Arrow magazine and Bowhunter magazine around the house. And I'd always read them. And it was interesting because, obviously Fred, Asbell wrote for Bowhunter. And I'm sure I read his stories, but he wasn't in every issue. So it wasn't like, I didn't recognize the name, right? I didn't know the,
Sure.
Hope and Young presidency and all. I didn't know any of that at the time. Right? It was just, he was just another guy writing an article in a magazine. But I remember seeing a Bighorn ad, and of course I've seen all the Bighorn ads now, but it was a profile of the bow. And of course, in those days, the takedown looked a lot like a Bear takedown, right? Different limb configuration, but it was the stripe, it looked like the 70 Kodiak that Fred introduced, right? In many ways. And I'm like, I'm interested. So I told my dad, let's write away. This is back in the day when you'd write away for a brochure, send $2, we'll send you a brochure. And so did that, got the brochure, and I thought, man, this is really something. And so that next summer, we took a family vacation. We came to Colorado a lot for family vacations. And by then, Dad was getting pretty interested in it too. I think both of us were kind of getting it, like, we should maybe do this. I remember using one of his recurves that year deer hunting and stopped by Fort Lupton to the shop. I remember Fred was there. Didn't spend a lot of time with him. He was on the phone, but I remember his big bull elk hanging up over his desk. And Glenn Nelson was his foreman head warrior. So Glenn spent quite a bit of time with Dad and I that afternoon. And again, I'm 18, 19 at the time. And he strung up 2 takedowns for us. And the first one, he handed it to me. We started shooting a cardboard box in the shop there. And it was, I think, right around 62, 63 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pulled like smooth as butter. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? This is incredible. And by the time we left there that day, Dad had put a deposit down and ordered a bow. I didn't have the money. I wanted one bad. I remember I bought finger tabs, an arm guard, and a hat, maybe, so about all the money I had. But went home, saved my money, and I had ordered one later. So I got my first one in, it was delivered literally September 14th of 89.
Mm-hmm.
So I came home, deer season opened on the 15th. I came home that weekend and Dad's like, well, you got to deliver today. And it was my bow. I remember just I strung it, slapped a quiver on it, put some old aluminum arrows, and I took it hunting the next day. Hadn't even shot the bow yet. Took it hunting.
Did you get the camouflage bow case?
Oh yeah, it came with it. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I love
Yeah.
that case. Yeah.
Yeah, it came with it. So that's how I got into bighorn bows, and over the years it's just grown, and of course, moving to Colorado, it was really eye opening because I was living in Nebraska, going to school, working at the town of Grand Island, so a little larger town there, and part of the archery club, and we ended up, that's kind of when that traditional revolution just started kicking off. It was just two of us that, were the first traditionals. It was myself and Doug Oddie. I don't know if you know Doug, but he's from
No.
Nebraska. He's hunted a lot with Paul Bruner over the years.
Okay.
He spent a lot of time with Paul. And he had a black widow and I had a bighorn. And by the time I moved out of Nebraska, by the time I was 25, so that 3-4 year period, we had a whole traditional league night. By the time it was done, guys went and bought longbows and recurves.
Sweet.
So it was right during that sweet spot in the early 90s when everyone was turning around. And moving to Colorado was amazing because I went to the first Colorado Bowhunters Jamboree, and I couldn't believe it. I show up there and I'm walking around, and it had to be 50% would probably be an exaggeration, but it might have been 35-40% of the people were carrying around recurves and longbows. I'm like, where am I? This is amazing.
Yeah, this is cool.
It was a totally different world. Again, it was that during that time. And so, that's when, it just all took off. But, for me, the recurve, and, some of us just experienced that. But, I started hunting at 14, and Rich, it took me 9 years to get my first deer.
Yeah.
And that's tough as a kid growing up. I only hunted with a bow. I never hunted with rifles. So growing up in a small town where all your buddies rifle hunt and, they all shoot their bucks every year. And how did you think that
took me about the same amount of time, but perseverance is everything.
And it wasn't until I got my bighorn and I shot deer 3 years in a row, missed a year, then shot 2 more deer. And it was a coincidence. I mean, some of it was experience and just becoming a better hunter.
You started learning stuff. Yeah. You become a better hunter.
Yeah. But it all just started clicking. And so after that, it was like, why do anything else? And so, over the years, I've shot a lot of different bows, like we probably all have. I own a lot of different bows, but there's been just always something about a bighorn that they just feel different. I can pick it up and shoot any of them at any time, and they shoot where you look. They point really well, and that works out. So, so we started that page, and it happened because I was on Trad Gang. And someone had started a post about bighorn bows. And, there was a number of pages where guys were talking about, and Scott George, I don't know if you know Scott, he lives here.
I know the name.
Yeah. Scott knows Fred really well. He was a neighbor of Fred's and spent a lot of time with him, but, he knows a lot about bighorn bows. And there was some discussions about guys making limbs and the different designs and that over the years. And I thought, wow, this was a really good post. I love this stuff. I've seen other fan pages. There's been so many bighorn bows. Let's just try it. And, I knew a handful of friends who had bighorn, so I invited them, and it just kind of took off. But it's somewhere over 1,100 members now on the page, with probably about 500 active members that will engage pretty frequently. And so it just speaks to the legacy of this brand.
Right. I've had Jim Wellham on the podcast.
Oh, Jim. Yeah.
And we talked about bighorn bows and his upset love of them.
Yeah.
So how many bighorn bows do you have?
I knew you were going to ask me this. I think I have 14 or 15 right now.
Okay.
I've sold some over the years. The bigger thing is, my younger brother, Scott, he's the real collector of bighorn bows. He's got some real fancy ones. And, my dad has a few. So between the three of us, I think we have somewhere around 55 or so bighorn.
Okay.
So we have a fair amount.
Have you seen the dedication bows made by Roger Norris?
I have, yes. Yeah, the legacy bows.
They're beautiful. The legacy bows, yeah.
I haven't seen the pictures. I haven't seen them.
I've actually felt them and fondled them. They're beautiful.
Are they? Yeah.
I'm definitely going to order one.
Nice.
I've been buying the Brandon Stahl homage bows.
I have one of Brandon's. Yeah.
I've got 4 of them. Actually,
okay.
If there's a 5th one available, I'm jumping on it. Trust me. I just can't get enough of these things. They're fantastic. Rogers bows are fantastic. I'm glad that there's a movement, if you will,
Yeah,
for Bighorn.
there is.
Now,
Yeah,
now there is a movement for sure.
there's a movement. Yeah, it's a, the page is good. Guys will, they don't last for long. If a guy puts one for sale on the Bighorn page, it's gone in
No, it's
hours.
gone.
It goes quick because it's a lot of dedicated guys that are interested in it. And the great news is, these Bighorns, it's like all bows, but I mean, they still work. The last one I picked up
Yeah.
here 3-4 months ago, it was a 1987 one piece, made about 1987. It was a one piece Bighorn when Fred had it.
Mhm.
And I mean, I picked it up for $300 from a guy here in Colorado who bought it when he was a teenager. And, it's probably about what he paid for it. So I'm sure he felt like he got a good deal. I got a great deal out of it. And that
Yeah.
bow, Rich, I don't think the bow had ever been shot. I have a brand new 1987 Bighorn one piece, and it shoots fantastic. And I mean,
Hmm.
it's literally like you just had it delivered to you. It
Yeah.
was
I
incredible.
love
So
it.
they're,
I
they're
love
out
it.
there. They're out there. And it's just a matter of
He
being
did make
patient.
quite a few bows. Now, was there
Yeah.
ever a period where they introduced fast flight to their bows or no?
Not during Fred's time, no. When King owned it, they did for a while. Certainly the longbows, the Ram Hunter longbows,
Right.
would shoot fast flight. They came with fast flight when I had my first Ram Hunter made. I I'm not a big fan of fast flight. I just not willing to risk the bow, so I put Dacron on all mine. But
Hmm.
the longbows for sure. And then when King had it, they did what they called a bomb-proof tip, where they inserted another wedge in the tip
Sure.
to strengthen it. That made it fast flight compatible. I
Gotcha.
have a number of them that have those tips, and it will shoot fast flight. But
Hmm.
I just want the longevity of the bow, and they shoot fine with Dacron, so I just use that.
Now, in your travels, have you ever met a bow hunter or a bow builder by the name of Tom Parsons?
I know of Tom Parsons. I've never met
Right.
Tom
Okay.
personally. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom was a good friend of mine from Maryland. God rest his
Okay.
soul. But yeah, he was a good friend of Fred's. And Tom made his own bow, a
Yep.
Kimshaw
Yep.
company, and it was modeled after the Ram Hunter
Yep.
because he was a big fan. And yeah, he made some great bows.
Yeah. Tom. I've talked to Tom once. He's passed away now, if I remember
Yeah. Oh,
right.
yeah. Many years ago.
Years ago, yeah. But what I got from Tom is, Bighorn had their shooting glove that
Mm.
Fred sold, and Tom made the exact same shooting glove. So I ended up buying like 6 of them from Tom there before he quit his business. I still have a lifetime supply of shooting gloves to fall back on.
Yeah, I've got the same thing. I shoot. Well, I've been shooting gloves for the glove for the last couple of years, but I've been playing with tabs. I've been playing with three fingers under. I've been playing with full length shafts because of all this craze lately.
Sure, yeah,
And they think they were reinventing the wheel, but they're not. It's just what people did back in the 50s and 60s, but they're
right,
calling it other stuff like fixed crawl,
right,
whatever,
right, right.
whatever. Hey,
Yeah.
have at it, but I'm going to play with it because it intrigues me. I'm
Okay.
interested.
Okay. Good.
Um, do you shoot every day or try
I
to?
I don't shoot every day. I pull a bow every
Mhm.
day for
Okay.
sure. I have a number of them strung all the time, and so if I take a break from work or whatever, I walk in my den, grab
Do
a
some
bow, pull it out.
exercises.
Yeah, so
Right.
I pull a bow every day. I don't necessarily shoot every day, but yeah, I handle a bow every day.
So I went through your photos, and I'm stealing a
Yeah.
few for the promo piece,
Okay. All
if you
right.
don't mind.
Sure. That's fine.
What other hobbies are you into? I see that you're into other things.
Oh, I'm into other things. Yeah. Living in Colorado, I kind of live an outdoors lifestyle. So we have horses. That was
Hmm.
a decision that I don't regret, but boy, you didn't realize how big it was. That was a crazy decision 25 years ago. When I got a horse, I'd been on a horse twice in my life, Rich,
Hmm.
and I had a good friend who we went to dinner. He and his wife and Stephanie and I went to dinner for Christmas years and years ago now, and they were talking about riding their horses and mules in the mountains, and isn't that
Hmm.
cool? Of course, I'm living in town at the time.
Right.
Houses, cookie cutter
Yeah.
houses
Yeah.
side by side. And he calls me 2 days later. He's like, "Were you guys serious about horses?" I'm like, "No, I live in town. What am I going to do with a horse?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, why are you asking?" And his father-in-law, Charlie, bred and raised Morgans and Morgan Arabian mixes, Morabs.
Okay.
and he was retiring, and he had a herd of like 25 horses, and
Ooh.
of course he couldn't keep them all being retired. And so I think I was the cash way of Charlie keeping his horses for a while, honestly. But and so the most dangerous thing we can ever do is go look at something, right? Go look is just code word for buying.
Yeah,
And
I cave easily. Trust me.
yeah. So we went and looked at horses. By the time we left, we bought 2 horses. I boarded them for a few years. Then we kept visiting them every weekend, and we bought a third. Then we bought a fourth. And it's like, I got to get some land. So they became a whole, I mean, the house I live in and everything else is because of that decision. And honestly, when I did it, I thought, oh, this will be fun. And if I get bored in a year, I'll just sell it. And it's like selling
No.
your pet dog. It doesn't happen
Yeah,
very
no, it doesn't
easily.
happen. You've
Not for
become
me.
attached. You're attached to these animals.
Yeah, so that's become quite a really a lifestyle. I enjoy fly fishing tremendously. When I
Hmm.
moved to Colorado, I grew up in living in Nebraska. Wasn't a lot to do during the summer in Nebraska, right? So I started as a young man started golfing and was horrible at it. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. So I started saving my money for lessons and clubs, and I banked up quite a bit of money, and then had this opportunity to move with my employer to Colorado. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Colorado. And another guy moved he lived with the same company, he lived in Iowa, and we're chatting. He's like, Todd, have you ever fly fished? I'm like, no. He goes, I have you. And he's like, no, you want to? Sure.
Yeah.
So we went and we hired a guide to take us fly fishing for the day and had a blast. The very next weekend, I took the entire like $2,000 I'd saved for golf clubs. I spent the whole thing on fly fishing equipment.
Hmm.
And we spent the entire, Kent and I went every weekend for a year. I have fished the South Platte River in Colorado every month, every week of the year, from ice to the middle of summer. I mean, we enjoyed the heck out. We weren't very good, but we looked good doing it. I'll tell you that, because we had the best
Who
equipment.
who taught you how to tie the leader? Was
The
that
guy,
self-taught, or
well,
the
the
guy
guy,
that? Okay.
guy, yeah, the guy that day taught me that.
So
But
I learned how to fly fish in the parking lot of State Farm Insurance.
okay,
Oh, I can't believe I dropped that name. So anyway, in Frederick, Maryland, I had this guy I was working with, and he says, "You want to fly fish?" I'm like, "Sure." So he gave me a fly fishing rod, a reel, and some leaders, and he taught and a tool to put the leader on. And we
yeah,
were out there. He was showing me presentation in the
yep.
parking lot, and man, it was fun.
It's a great time. So I
Yeah,
do fly fishing. In Colorado, I ended up getting a Jeep. I don't know, 20 years ago or so. I got a 2004 TJ Rubicon
mm,
that is just my mountain toy. I just call it my mountain toy. It sits in the garage. I probably put 1,500 miles on it a year, but
right.
it's great for taking on the old mining roads and high passes here in Colorado. So we do that. We camp, hike, things like that. So yeah, I have more than enough hobbies to keep me busy.
That's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah,
thing. You got any kids?
I have two stepchildren. Yeah, they're
Oh,
grown and out on their own, and I have a granddaughter. And so yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I've got 5 kids that I know of and 9 grandchildren.
Okay.
So, so I want to switch gears here. I see you were inducted into the Colorado Bowhunters Hall of Fame in 2025. Congratulations.
Thank
Huge
you.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
What was that like? I mean, what does that feel like when
Oh,
you
it was a total surprise.
when you're
Yeah,
told?
total surprise. So, going back, if I can back up for a moment to Marvin, Fred,
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
they're icons. It's not just what they did in bow hunting, but watching those two gentlemen and how much they invested back in the sport of bow hunting
Hmm.
is really, kind of what I followed. So I've tried to give back to the sport. I've been in the Colorado Bowhunter Association. I think I was their records chairman for a decade.
Well,
I
that's
was their,
kind of why you're here.
yeah, yeah, records chairman. I was their public relations guy. I was their DOW liaison, going to wildlife commission
Okay,
meetings. I was on the board of the Bighorn Society for a number of years. I was on the board of Pope and Young Club for 4 years when Jim Williams
cool,
was president. We both got elected at the same time. So
sweet.
I've tried to give back, because that's what Marv did. That's what Fred did. I mean, they
Yeah,
started these organizations and led them, as you know, and so that's why they're kind of iconic men to me. It's like that's just what you do.
sure.
You back, and so in I think it was in 2019 I was received the Colorado Bowhunters Association. Oh, there you go. Colorado Bowhunters Association Bowhunter of the Year award, which was really special. And it sounds like Killer of the Year, and it's really not. It's your lifetime contributions
It's
to
an
both.
accomplishment.
Yeah. You know, so it is what you've done, but it's also your bow hunting success as well as the
Sure.
combination. And so, you know, that was awesome. And at that point, I'm like, okay, that, you know, that was neat. And so the Hall of Fame, it was no, I mean, why me? I never thought about it or anything. I wasn't on the board anymore. And
Hmm.
I was actually on business I was going to be in business or I was in California. And like 3 days before the banquet, Joe Bradley called me and he said, "Hey, Todd, are you going to be at the banquet? I haven't seen you bought a ticket yet." I'm like, "No, I wasn't planning on coming this year. I'm actually on business. I'm not flying in until late Friday night. I won't get
You
home
need
till
to be
midnight."
there.
Like, "You need to be there." I'm like, "All right." He didn't tell me why. He said, "But you need to be there." I'm like, "Okay, I'll show up." And so it was a complete and total surprise. I had
I
no
love it.
idea.
I love it.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was a
So
neat.
I founded the Maryland Bowhunters
Okay.
Bow Hunting Hall of Fame. And
Okay.
so last year we inducted Steve Keithley.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I get this text message because I did not attend. But I got the plaques made up and all that. Everything was set, all behind the behind the cuff, so to speak, if you will.
Sure.
And I get this beautiful text message from Steve. You didn't have something to do with this, did you? And it's a picture of him holding the plaque. And I said, yeah,
Right.
kind of, sort of. And
That's awesome.
he's like, dude, thank you so much. So this year they're celebrating 50 years. And
Great.
I'm gonna do everything I can to fly out for that
Yep.
and
That's
attend.
fantastic.
Because I've been a life member, and
Yep.
Maryland is near and dear to my heart. I live in Florida, but I just live here. That's it. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Florida. Because my kids and grandkids are here. That's the only reason why I'm here.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Maryland. If I win a lottery tomorrow, I'm going to kick the people that bought my house. I'm going to give them triple what they paid for it to kick them out, and I'm
There you
buying that
go.
house back.
There you go.
But at any rate, so let's talk bow hunting.
Yeah.
Colorado is such a game-rich environment. I've had Montana bow hunters, I've had Iowa bow hunters, I've had Utah bow hunters. I mean, that whole West is
Yeah.
such a game-rich environment. What is your favorite game animal to chase, and why?
That's a good question. You know, I've thought about this. Really, the short answer is whatever I'm chasing at the time, honestly, because
Okay.
you know, I've had the luxury of hunting a lot of different species, and they're all fantastic. I mean,
Right.
there's some guys that are elk guys, and there's some guys that are whitetail guys, or bear guys, or
Yeah.
whatever, sheep guys, and you know, and then there's other guys that just like I just kind of like it all. I remember when I did my lion hunt. It's been 20 years ago now, but it's like I got to do this lion hunt. At that time, it's still legal, but at that time, I was the DOW liaison. There was anti-hunting groups really trying to shut down
Mhm.
lion hunting in Colorado. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
and I don't have dogs, so it's like, okay, I need to hire a guide for this, and hired a good friend Mark Turner to take me. I'm like, I gotta get this done, or I was very anxious, like it was gonna disappear. Hasn't yet, thank God. Um, but I got done with that hunt. It took 9 days, 9 different trips, days out chasing lion, and it was fantastic. I got done with that, and I said, "Oh my God, if I could afford to do that every year, I would." It's just that I haven't done it again, but it was
Well,
fantastic.
was it physically demanding?
Oh yeah,
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 I
yeah,
can imagine because you look like you're in very good shape.
yeah. Once you start chasing, well, thank you. I'm a little chubby, but um, with the chasing the lions in the snow, I mean it's something to do. So I
Yeah.
love that. Probably one of my favorite hunts ever was black bear here, and I wrote about it. It's in the Traditional Journey 3 book in Pope and Young. There's an article, a story I wrote about it in that book. But um, I did that spot and stalk by myself, no bear spray, no handgun, no sidearm,
Wow.
and I won't tell the whole story because it'd take too long. But it was a fantastic experience. Two bears growling and barking at me and everything else, and I was able to get that boar, and that was, I mean, that's a rush, to shoot a
Yeah.
bear on the ground, face to face by yourself. That's really great.
I'm sure it
Um,
was testosterone driven.
it apparently so, yeah. The sheep hunting, I've been very fortunate, to draw some tags over my time. I've had four ram tags in
Mhm.
my life. I filled one of them. Um, those have all been really special hunts.
One of
Learned
the
a lot.
pictures I stole.
Did you steal that picture? Yeah, yeah. So that was special. Um, I enjoyed going to Alaska. But if really the thing that I am really the self-proclaimed world's worst elk hunter. I'm not a good elk hunter at all, but I really get a kick out of elk. I mean, they're
Have you
just
met South Cox?
oh yeah, yeah, no South. Yeah.
South
Yeah.
is he's a
South,
pretty
South is
accomplished
pretty good
elk
elk.
hunter,
He's pretty
pretty
good elk hunter.
accomplished mule deer hunter too.
Yes, he does well with both. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
But
an animal.
elk is, elk, if I could hunt, I think there's two different types of elk hunting, right? There's elk hunting that you can do over the counter, which can be just a long walk in the woods sometimes. And
Mhm.
then there's elk hunting in limited draw quality areas,
Sure.
where the bull to cow ratio is higher and the hunting pressure,
Zones,
the
right? The
zones.
zones, right?
And when you get those opportunities, they don't come around very often because of the years it takes the preference points to get
Sure.
them. But when you get those opportunities, that's a totally different experience, and it's addictive. If you can get a quality elk tag and where you got bugling bulls and elk acting like elk,
Sure.
as opposed to
Right.
highly pressured animals, it's a tremendous experience.
So earlier in the manuscript that I sent you, it says that Rich will go down or change gears.
Yeah, change
All right.
gears, go.
I got to know about this. So what's it like for a resident Colorado bow hunter apply? Do you have to apply for tags
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
just like a non-resident?
just like a non-resident. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Is there preference points involved?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God, that's
yeah,
retarded.
yeah.
But why is that? Let me ask you that. So our listeners who don't know, why is that? Why just like I'm used to being a resident hunter, just getting my
Yeah.
license and just going hunting. What's the difference? What's going on out there?
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, first of all, it's economics, supply and demand is a
Okay.
lot of it. So while we have a wide variety of species, which is wonderful in the West, you know, we're not crawling with deer the way the East is, right?
Sure.
We're in the South where you can shoot 5 deer a year or a deer a day. I mean that it's one deer, if you draw the tag, and you have a lot of non-resident desire to come experience the Rockies and chase deer and mule or elk and mule deer,
Yeah.
and that's highly desirable. Moose, that's a highly desirable species, and it's really unfortunate because the non-resident uh, game, the parks and wildlife have built their budgets around non-resident hunters, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Not, and this is nothing against non-residents. I feel for them because it's the demand, it's economics, the demand's so high, it's becoming a sport that's it's starting to price the average man out.
Yeah.
When
I
you're
know.
when you're when I made my first elk hunt to Colorado when I was still a Nebraska resident in '91. And at that time, I could come out here as a non-resident and buy an over-the-counter tag for $250, either sex, and go have a
Right.
great time.
Exactly. I was there in the late 80s and the early 90s and the same thing. I was
Yeah,
able to hunt. I didn't kill
yeah,
anything, but
yeah.
whatever.
But you got to go elk hunting. Now I think a non-resident elk tag is $800.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty big investment.
Plus the investment with the preference points because you got
Plus
to,
the preference, yeah,
right.
to draw it and everything. So it's mostly an economics issue, and
Sure.
Colorado has always manage their herds more for opportunity than quality, unlike Arizona or Nevada or Utah, that's been
Yeah.
very limited. So we've been, as a state, much more generous on
Mhm.
providing non-resident opportunities. So I
Okay.
think for the quality areas, it used to be like a 60-40 split. I think it's now 80-20. But you go to Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming, places like that, it's 90-10 or
Right.
95-5. It's very different split.
So if I remember correctly, back in the day, let's go back there for, the 80s and 90s. The bang for the buck was a combo mule deer antelope hunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is is that
Absolutely.
is that still a thing?
No, 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 no. Our deer hunting went draw first years ago, many years
Okay.
ago,
Hmm.
after some hard winters. And so, you know, a quality deer tag, for a resident, you're probably once every 3 years,
Wow.
for a quality one. There's some units you might be able to get one every year, every other year, but it might be, you know, just a fork horn, where they manage
I
them just.
know. It's just like I'm like, wow. It's like it creates to me a vision of moribund. It's like such a dark thing to me. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, I almost want to just stop bow hunting because of that. But
Well,
no, that's not going to happen,
that's
obviously.
not going to happen. But yeah,
No,
it
but
is, the golden, I, when I came out here and I, would talk to friends here in Colorado, the Barry Smiths, the Ron Rockwells, and those
yeah,
guys that were, they were hunting sheep where they draw a sheep tag every other year, every third year. They've had,
nuts.
tons of sheep, and I was like, oh man, I would lament the fact that it took me 10 years to draw a sheep tag. And it's like, well, yeah, Toby, you've had 4. And now, I mean, I say that, and the younger guys are like, are you kidding me? I'll be lucky
Right.
to get 1 in my life, let alone, and who knows whether they'll fill it or not, right?
When I met Jake Powell, he had just shot the world record bighorn.
Yeah, yeah,
That thing
yeah,
was a monster, and it was on display. I was like, oh my god.
yeah.
I think I still have pictures of that. I might have to, if I find those pictures, I'm going to digitize them and share them on Facebook.
There you go.
But
Yeah,
it was an amazing time. And did you ever hear the story about Dale Dye, the bow maker, who sold my sharkskin jacket to he didn't sell it. He gave it to a homeless guy on the street at the
oh, really?
PBS. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I come back from the men's
Heard
room. I'm
that
like,
story.
where's my damn jacket? And I look out and there's this Indian guy wearing it. I look at it and Dale's smiling at me. I was like, forget it. It's all good, brother.
That's funny.
So have you hunted outside the U.S.?
Yes, I've hunted Canada. I've hunted Alberta
Mm-hmm.
years ago. It was, this was my first guided hunt. I haven't done many guided hunts, but my first big hunt was a black bear hunt in
Mm-hmm.
Alberta. And it kind of, you learn lessons with this. This is one of those things where I had guys all lined up. I think there were 6 of us ready to go. And, but when it came time to actually writing the check,
Yeah.
everyone dropped out, and I ended up going by myself, and
Wow.
it was a great camp. There was other hunters there, rifle hunters and bow hunters from Pennsylvania, and they were great guys. But what I learned was if you're going to hunt, you just better commit to it yourself. And if a buddy's going to come along, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're going to wait for a buddy or wait for a group of guys to go with you, you'll probably be disappointed. So hope for that, but plan to hunt by yourself. And
Yeah,
so
I've been with the same bow hunting partner, John, my best friend of all time.
yeah,
God, 30 years now, and I'm kind of hard on partners when it's like
yeah,
I require a certain decorum, behavior,
yeah, yeah,
knowledge.
yeah, yeah,
I just don't hunt with anybody because
yeah,
if you don't know things, and we've got a problem.
yeah,
And
yeah. You learn
it's
that.
not anything personal. It's just the way I am.
The value of a good hunting partner is
It's
just
almost like
immeasurable.
having the perfect wife.
Well, yeah, and for that
Yeah,
purpose, it is. Yeah, Jim Anderson's my hunting buddy. We've been hunting
Jim
together.
Emerson.
Now. Jim
Jim.
Anderson, yeah,
Oh, Anderson. Okay, I thought you
Anderson.
said Emerson. I was
No,
like, I
no,
know a
Anderson.
Jim Emerson. Yeah,
No,
Anderson.
no. And we've been hunting together since the late '90s. And of
Mhm.
course, he'd probably say I'm not as good of a partner because he's in Africa right now in Namibia shooting things
Yeah,
like
I
crazy.
got a buddy of mine that's out there with his grandkids, and him and his grandson shot Nile crocodiles,
Oh my,
monsters. I mean, I'm talking, this suckers are big.
right?
And I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, oh my god, he's this kid. He's like maybe 14.
Yeah,
What a
that's
way to start his journey. How do you
absolutely,
top that?
that's pretty
He's going to
crazy.
go back to Maryland. He's going to shoot a forky. I don't
Right,
think so. He's probably getting away for a 200 class buck, but he'll never see it. But
right.
uh, yeah, that's that. What a great, thank God he can do that with his grandkids and his family and whatnot. I think Walt Allensworth, God bless you, brother. Uh,
That's
you
great.
and your family, I wish you the best. I love you. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
those are places
incredible.
that, and I've been to Alaska, not out of the country, but Alaska is always a great
Okay.
adventure. I've been 3 times
Now,
there, and I'm
Africa's on my bucket list.
uh
I got a couple of buddies of mine really leaning on me hard about going to
yeah,
Africa. And it's like, dude, the taxidermy is nuts. I don't have the room in this little Florida house to put a hippo and, these giant heads. And they said,
yeah,
just do a cull hunt where you just shoot the animal, get your picture taken, and the meat's taken away by the natives.
yeah, yeah,
That sounds really interesting,
yeah.
especially with traditional equipment.
Like I said, Jim's in Namibia right now. I'm getting text messages from him every day. He's
Hmm.
having a hell of a good time. That's his second trip, and that's been his childhood dream to go to
Hmm.
Africa. Grew up, he read all Capstick and all them,
Oh, yeah.
and so he's having a great time. Africa has always been. I've been lukewarm on it. It's like, yeah, it'd be fun. And I'm so happy for Jim. He's having a great time. And then I look at it and go, well, yeah, but I would trade it all in for a big bull elk, or I trade it all in for a big bull moose.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
wired differently that way. but he's having a great time. So maybe I'll do Africa someday. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Um,
66 now, so my bucket list hunts are
yeah,
kind of diminished. I just kind of like hunting every year and just
yeah.
chasing whitetails. That's my thing now.
That's there's nothing wrong with that.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
so
fun.
I've been, from Alaska. We hunted Jim Willems and I, and Jim Anderson too. We all
Mhm.
went to Mexico a number of years ago hunting
Oh
cows
yeah.
deer.
I love.
Jim Willems is still doing that every year. He's got a camp where he takes guys down there. But we did cows deer in Mexico. So those have been my international hunts, is Canada and Mexico. But most of it's been, right here in Colorado and neighboring states, Wyoming and things like that. And
So
and
I recorded a bunch. I recorded last night a podcast with two friends of mine, Dave Ponce and Rick Rourke from Illinois.
okay,
They're going to the place I promote, Stickball Hunts MX, in February. So we talked about last night. What we talked about was like, what do you bring? What do you need? This and that. What's the difference? And I've been there twice, so I told them already. Learn some Spanish, Rosetta Stone,
yeah,
go a long way. Have download an app on your phone as an interpretation app. Uh, it's such high country. The Sierra Madre is very high elevations, 12,000 feet.
oh wow,
So,
okay,
yeah, so you're going to want to bring saline and Vaseline because with the first year I was there, I had profuse nosebleeds, like shooting out of my
oh
nose.
sure, yeah, yeah, sort of as
And
dry as it is down there for sure,
yeah,
yeah,
you want to line your first do the saline and then line your nose with Vaseline, and you're going to be good.
sure,
At the end of the day, blow your nose, clean your nostrils out, and you're fine. But do it every day.
right,
And other things, what to take, what to do, what kind of arrows, take down case, stuff like that. But
yeah,
for the average Joe who's never done it, it's an affordable hunt.
yeah, a great
It's a
adventure, right?
it's a great adventure,
Yeah, absolutely,
and you don't really have to spend a lot of money. I went kind of nuts, and I bought an SKB hard golf bag
yeah,
case,
yeah.
but whatever. When I got back
Yeah.
after the second trip, I sold it, so I
Yeah,
made
really,
back my money.
anytime you can go and hunt new country
Yeah.
makes it a great adventure. And I think, that's what guys need to understand is, because you can really get yourself tied in knots when you see like some of these high price hunts, that,
Mhm.
Canada and that for sheep. The guys are spending $70,000 for a sheep hunt. And that's like, you don't need to do that.
No.
There's tremendous adventures to be had, just exploring new places and trying different animals.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to be well heeled and have deep pockets to have a
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a
time.
blue collar worker, man. I go on
Absolutely.
these hunts and I'm doing it because I know how to budget and I know how to do
Right.
things and save. And you don't have to do it right now. Do it in 28, but
Right.
plan
Yeah.
ahead. Plan
Yeah.
ahead. Be frugal.
Yeah.
Uh, so Todd, what's your favorite archery setup, bow wise and arrow?
Oh, yeah. That's great. With all the bows I have, I've had to ask myself this question. It's like, okay, if a wildfire comes through Colorado, I have to grab two bows and get out of the house. Which two am
Yeah.
I grabbing? And I can narrow it down. My go-to is it's a Bighorn takedown. It's a
Hmm.
prize Bighorn, 62 inches long, 17-inch riser. It's 60 pounds at 29. It's the one I killed my sheep with, so it's in the sheep picture. Beautiful bow, zebra wood limbs, and that. And I've shot wood. I started with wood when I got with bows, and I shot aluminums. I've shot carbons, and I've gone back to wood. I just like it. It's
So did
just,
Jim. Jim Willems went back to wood.
yeah, yeah. It's just I shoot. So I shoot right now. I've been shooting a lot of Sherwood Douglas fir arrows.
Oh,
And
nice.
Stephen Burns out in Oregon, I got to give him uh, props. He makes a beautiful footed shaft, Douglas fir footed shafts. I have a number of his footed shafts, and I finish them after he puts them for me. But so I do that. I shoot 3 Fletch and Zwickey Deltas. 135 grain 2 blade
Now,
Zwickey Deltas is what I
I'm shooting Eskimos, 170 grains out of aluminum. I was a carbon guy for a while, but now I'm back to aluminum since Three Rivers reintroduced the Autumn Orange
orange. Yeah, yeah,
XX75s.
yeah.
So now I'm shooting the 170 grain Eskimos, and they're devastating.
There you go. Yeah,
I just love a big hole,
yeah,
just a big blood trail, and I don't like
yeah.
working for my deer. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
that's cool. So, have you ever hunted with a gun?
Uh, yes. Very rarely, so I own guns. I grew up, shooting 22s and that, squirrels and rabbits. But really the only time, well, there's actually two times I've hunted with a rifle, and I'll tell you the quick story. It was because it was, these lessons in life, you learn them as you go on. So I had, it's been 25 years ago. I had a mule deer tag here in Colorado on Fort Carson, which is right here by Colorado Springs. And there's some tremendous deer and elk on Fort Carson. And you got to go through the military hoops and the gates and, which zones are open in that. But there's some tremendous animals. And it was great. It was a all weapons tag. So rifle or archery, all weapons. And it was a 3-month long season for mule deer. So 3 months, you get from September to December. I mean, it was tremendous. And I'm hunting weekends and chasing deer around and seeing some just tremendous mule deer. I mean, it was a fantastic experience. And so it's getting late in the season. It's like December 16th or so. And I've been chasing this mule deer around, and, closest I got was like 40 yards from him. I haven't been able to get a shot at him yet. And I'm driving off, and, having hunted for 3 months, you start seeing some of the same trucks and same guys, and you're talking, and meet this guy on the road. And I'm like, how you getting any luck? And he goes, well, the general's shutting the base down tomorrow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My tag's good till the end of the year. And he's like, doesn't matter. General's shutting the base down. Tomorrow's our last day to hunt. And it was just like this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I still have 2 more weeks to go.
Rough road.
So I came home and I whining to my buddy about it. Like they're shutting the base down and at the time, I didn't even own a high powered rifle, Rich. And so I'm whining to James about it. And he's like, well, let's just take my 7mm and go get a buck. And in a weak moment, I'm like, okay. And so completely legal, completely ethical, nothing wrong with it. I knew where the buck was. I've been chasing him for 2.5 months, found him, went up a side hill, came over the top. I'm 101 yards from him, and he's laying there in the bed. And, I'm laying there in the snow and mud with this 7mm watching him. And I'm like, can I shoot him? I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I mean, it was just like, and I'm laying there by myself, and he stood up, and all he was doing is stand up to stretch, but it was enough of an adrenaline rush, like, oh, he's going to get away, that I put the crosshairs on him, pulled the trigger, and he, pulled right there. Again, completely ethical, completely fair chase.
I would have done the same thing.
But he's hanging in my den. I mounted him. He's hanging in my den. He's a beautiful buck. But it's been a lesson to me because, in these experiences form your philosophies. But we had a game. We were playing the bow hunting game for 2.5 months, and he won every time. And then I changed the game, and I didn't tell him.
Exactly.
And it's like, so that was one of those lessons of like, Todd, success, you learn it over time. Success isn't always what you need. Sometimes it's the experience. And again, nothing wrong with it. He's hanging on my wall.
It is what it is, man. It's like me, we're getting into a struggle, and then I didn't tell you that I know Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Oh, wow.
Or Muay Thai. And guess what? You're getting dead now. So, it's one of those things. So, that's just an exaggeration. But I mean, that's an awesome thing. I mean, I'm a 2-season hunter all day long. Okay. So, so I'm a traditional guy. I come off as a traditional guy, but I do gun hunt. So, I have respect for anybody that hunts ethically. I don't care if you use a spear. I don't care if you use a javelin. I don't care if you use a butter knife. As long as it's ethical, let's have at it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I agree with you. I think for me, it just proved that it's like, I know what's right for me now, though. And for me, Matt, it's, I got to do it my way. And, but no judgments on anyone else.
No.
I know what's right for me.
You do you, and I'll do me. Right.
Absolutely. And those are great lessons in life that you learn along the way. You don't know it at the time until you experience it. And you're like, okay. And so once you've been doing it for 40 years, you kind of, you become a crotchety old man. And you start learning.
Yeah.
You start.
I am that crotchety old man. Right? Yeah, for sure. So, hey, here's the fun question. If you were to take yourself back in time, where would it be and why?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a big question for some people. I would have hoped you had a week to think about it.
Yeah, you sent it to me. Well, I tell you,
I sent it to you on Sunday. So
you sent it to me on Sunday, so I've had a chance to think about it. It's I guess 2 ways to answer it. the historical way, I've always thought the mountain man thing was cooler than heck,
Yeah,
right?
man.
It'd be a
Yeah.
really hard life.
I
And I
can't
don't know
see
if
you with a ZZ Top beard though.
no, there you go. Right. Well, you never can tell. You might be surprised, but that would be really cool. But I've thought about, like if I could really go back in time, just I
Yeah.
would go back to last season. I
Okay.
want I want my elk hunt over again. I drew a Unit 76, which is a quality elk tag here in Colorado. It took me 10 years to draw it. Had a great time and didn't get it done. And I realized I've had so much time to reflect on that hunt. It's like, oh, I should have done this at that moment. I should have done this at that moment. I should have pivoted here. I should have made a different decision there. It's like I want a do-over of that hunt because it was, I don't know if
Yeah,
I'll get
man.
it because it took so long to get the tag. I don't know if I'll ever get a
Yeah.
do-over on it, but that would be a lot of fun. In fact, I wrote a story about it, just ruminations, just thinking about it, and actually just got noticed this week that it's going to be published in Traditional Bowhunter. So I'm excited that'll
Cool.
be
Cool.
out here soon. So yeah, you can read about it then and see what all I learned about it.
Have you ever thought of writing a book?
Um,
I'm thinking about it
are
myself.
you?
Yeah,
Are
but
you?
it's going to be comedy. I don't
Oh,
write
there you go. There
serious.
you
I
go.
don't write
There you go.
anything serious.
There you
People
go.
that know me, I'm a stand-up comic. That's all I actually want to do that.
That'd be cool.
I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy, but no, I'm at
That'd be cool.
66. I don't know if that's going to happen. But
Yeah, I've
yeah,
edited a couple of books. I edited a records book for CBA here in Colorado. I was the sole editor of one, and then um, I got to give Jim Willems a lot of credit. I took on the project of the third traditional journey when I was on the Pope and Young board to be
yeah,
the
yeah,
editor of it. I got it started, and then work life got in the way and wasn't able to finish it. And Jim
sure.
stepped up and did the lion's share. Even though he gave me credit as co-editor, I got to say he did the lion's share of the work. But editing a book and putting a book together is a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work, and that's not even writing all the content. That's just trying to bring it all together. But yeah, it could be interesting. This writing thing I haven't really done much of, and I just in the last Traditional Bowhunter had my sheep hunt story published. That was
Right.
my first paid gig, if you will, for a story, which I really enjoyed it, and so
I enjoyed it.
I might dabble a little bit more in that, but certainly nothing big scale.
Okay, that's all good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been working on this book for 25 years.
Oh,
I mean,
well, there you go.
I've got chapters, saved and all that stuff, and I'm constantly looking at. And what I'm always looking for, like Mark Sasser just wrote a book,
Okay.
and it's a phenomenal book from what I've read so far, and it's just him alone in the wilderness, and there's no photos, which I love because it forces you to read instead of just look at pictures. There's a
Right.
lot of
Yep.
guys will get a book, they'll look at pictures and put a book away. No,
Right.
it forces you to read.
Yep.
And Mark, kudos to you. Um, I'm really involved in a lot of that, and I'm thinking the same thing. Like my book, it's already titled "Tales from the Crapper," and it's a picture of me pointing into an outhouse, and there's you know, so you can imagine these are all comedic stories of real stories that are comedy that have
Sure.
happened to me in the field. It's just
Okay.
like remember Maggie,
Oh yeah.
Maggie
Maggie's
McGee.
Yeah, Maggie McGee's.
That's kind of where I'm going for. That's what I'm going for here.
Okay.
Tongue in cheek, dry humor,
Sure.
just some lighthearted stuff. And I want the pages to be biodegradable paper so you can wipe your ass with it
There
in the
you go.
outhouse. So you just throw,
Dual
be done.
purpose. Well, that's a good
Yeah.
marketing ploy.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. My wife thinks I'm stupid, but whatever. But after 40 years, I'll accept it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
it's good stuff. So, bro, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, well, I mean, the easiest way is, join the Bighorn page on Facebook and
Okay.
message me from there is probably
Sure,
the easiest.
sure.
I don't know why anyone would want to get a hold of me unless they had some questions, but I mean, I'm fine giving out my email. I mean, it's not.
I got a hold of you because you interest me.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, tabrickel@gmail.com is the easiest way for anyone to get a hold of me.
So what's going on for rest of 26 and 27 for you? What crazy adventures do you have?
Well,
Planned or thinking about?
hoping, yeah. So I'm kicking around a lot. I want to get back to Alaska. It's been 15 years since I've hunted Alaska. It's been way too long. So I want to get back to Alaska. So we'll see, like anything nowadays, even trying to find a a bush pilot, it's not the easiest thing. You got to call
Oh,
in on
no.
a
Yep.
day and get in line and hope you're, unless you have a established reputation with one, which I don't, it's kind of almost like a lottery for that. So I'll work on that for maybe next year to get up there. This year, I only drew a deer tag here in Colorado, but it's a quality deer tag. I have a friend who owns 600 acres, and he invited me to hunt his 600-acre ranch here in eastern Colorado,
God bless him.
which has some tremendous mule deer on it. It's a really great opportunity, and thank you, Randy, for that invitation. Because,
So speaking about mule deer, do you remember the name Kurt Darner?
oh yeah,
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that, but yeah, I'm throwing that out there. People that are in the know, if if you know,
yeah.
you know.
If you
So
know, you know.
yeah, so there you go. So what's funny is, are you familiar with a guy who's a guide in Alaska and who has a YouTube channel with great videos named Billy Malls?
No, I'm not.
Dude, check him out. I
Okay.
mean, this guy's he's a maniac. He's from Wisconsin, but he guides people to the most tremendous black bears, grizzlies, caribou
Okay.
ever.
Okay.
But it's the most incredible footage you've ever seen in your life.
Really?
We're
Okay.
talking close encounters,
Yeah.
being charged out of the alders, the whole 9 yards. Billy Malls, just Google it. Oh my
Okay.
God. Yeah,
Okay.
I've tried to get him on the podcast. We've talked, and it's not going to happen. It's just one of those things, and I get it. I totally get it. It's sometimes what's the word I'm looking for? Fame comes with like, nah. Yeah, I need to just step back a little bit
Yeah.
and be a little more less transparent. So,
Right.
and I totally get it. It's all good, and I appreciate and respect that. But check it out. If you want to see some hair raising stuff, check it
Yeah.
out.
Definitely
Yeah,
check that out.
he's a gun hunter, but
Yeah.
whatever. He's a hunter, and he'll
Right.
get you. He'll get you in the danger zone.
Okay.
So, but Todd, I want to thank you from the
Oh, you're
bottom of
welcome.
my heart for coming on and offering me this opportunity, and our listeners for sure. People, please subscribe, like, and share. That's the only way I can bring you more content. Otherwise, it's coming out of my wife's purse. But thanks, Todd.
Thank
Enjoy
you,
the
Rick.
rest of the year. Hope we'll keep in
Appreciate it.
touch. Okay, brother.
Absolutely.
All
Take
right.
care.
You take care. Bye bye.